I've been on a journey to rank every Pokemon ever made, and we've gone through generations 1 through 3, so it's time for generation 4. And that means starting with the starters. So first of all, we have Turtwig, Grotle, and Torterra. Now listen, I love turtles, and I mean, these are tortoises. All tortoises are turtles, by the way, just in case you were curious. But I don't think I love these guys. I like Turtwig. I think Turtwig is definitely an A tier. Grotle I think is pretty ugly. I don't know what this weird yellow thing here is. He doesn't even look like a turtle anymore. I'm gonna say Grotle's like a C tier maybe. Honestly, could probably go D tier. We'll see how I'm feeling later. And then Torterra is fine. You know, you got a whole tree growing on your back. That's pretty cool, but I don't know. I'm gonna say you're probably like a B tier. As for the fire starters, we have Chimchar, Monferno, and Infernape. I think all of these are fine. I don't have much of a problem with them. I think Chimchar's, you can be an A tier. Monferno, I don't like as much. You're a B tier. And Infernape, I think, is also a B tier. And then water starters, we have Piplup, Prinplup, and Empoleon. Piplup is A tier. I love Piplup. I think Prinplup is kind of in that awkward, a little bit ugly middle stage. I think you might just be middle C tier, which is not I dislike you. It's just like, yeah, you exist. And Empoleon is A tier. Piplup line is the one I chose as my starters, but this is where I sit right now. All right, the Route 1 bird type, we have flying type, you know, but it's a bird. Starly, Staravia, and Staraptor. I think these guys are fun. I don't think Starly is a Pokemon that I particularly love. I think you're just kind of C tier for me. I'm going to say Staravia is probably just a B tier. I like that the star shape gets a little bit more pronounced on you. And then Staraptor, I'm contemplating A, but I think you're B tier. All right, Bidoof and Bibarel. These two are pretty fun little goofy looking guys. Bidoof, you're cute. I like you. I'll say you're B tier. Bibarel, I don't know. I like that you sit up. That's kind of funny and goofy of you, but you could be a B tier, I guess. All right, Kricketot and Kricketune. I think that these two are interesting. Kricketune has a top tier cry, one of the best in Pokemon, I think. I like Kricketune's goofy little mustache. I think I'd put Kricketune in B tier. Kricketot, I think, is gonna have to stay in C tier. I don't care much about them. All right, Shinx, Luxio, and Luxray. A great early root line. I think these guys are all really cute. Shinx, I think, is going to be an A tier. That just feels right to me. Luxio has that awkward middle stage look to it. I still like Luxio, just not as much. I think Luxio is probably a B tier. And then Luxray is A tier. Pretty high up though. I think you're probably behind Empoleon. All right, Badoo and Roserade or Roselia. I don't remember which one. This one looks like it has a wig on, which is really funny to me. I think you're cool. I'd probably put you in like B tier somewhere. But do I also don't hate. I think you're kind of cool. I like when the bud slightly opens and you see the colors inside of it, but also you're just kind of whatever to me. I think I'll put you like there maybe. Okay, Cranidos and Rampardos. I like that they're dinosaurs. They're based off of that one dinosaur. I forget what it's called. I think Cranidos is pretty cute. I think Cranidos is definitely an A tier mon for me. And then Rampardos I don't like as much, but you're not bad. I think you're probably a B tier. Okay, Shieldon and Bastiodon. I've always thought Bastiodon looked kind of ugly. Shieldon is kind of a little cutie. I'm gonna be honest though, I kind of feel just like fine about you. I think you're gonna be a C tier. And then Bastiodon, again, I don't hate you, but I lean more towards disliking you, so I'm gonna put you in D tier. Okay, Wormy and Wormadam, I am going to rank their individual forms, but they have to stick next to the actual Pokemon. They can't be split up because it's the same Pokemon, just different forms. I don't really feel great about them, to be honest. I think they're just like fine. I think Burmy I like more. I don't know, it's a little bit cuter to me. I don't know, I'll put you like there. And then Wormadam, I'll put you maybe there. And then of the forms, I don't know, I like the desert whatever form the least of Burmy, and then I actually think I like that form the most of Wormadam, so we'll go ahead and do this. And then Mothim, I don't actually remember if Mothim evolves from Wormadam or not, but Mothim is fine. I actually kind of like your design. I think you're fairly cool looking. I'm willing to put you in B tier. All right, Combee and Vespiquen. Vespiquen is one that I've always called Vespiqueen because it's a queen bee, but it's Quen, and I don't like that, to be honest with you, but I do like both of these Pokemon. They're both really cool. Combee's just a cute little stinker, and then Vespiquen is like a cool badass Pokemon. I think Combee's gonna be A tier, and then Vespiquen is gonna be a B tier. Alright, it's time for the Pika clone, and that's Pachirisu of this generation. This one's a squirrel. Yeah, you're like, fine. I don't particularly love the Pika clones that much usually. I'm gonna say that you get to be a B tier, but you'll be at the bottom of B tier for now. Alright, Floatzel and Buizel. I like these two. They look like fox otters. I also just like water type Pokemons. I like that they got like built-in floaties. I frankly kind of see both of them as B tier. I think I like Floatzel a little bit more. Alright, Cherubi and then Cherim, which has two different forms. I by far like, I think Sunny form maybe a lot more. Cherubi I actually think is a cute Pokemon. I like its double little cherry. I think its little feetsies are fun. I think Cherubi is going to be an A tier for me. This Cherim, I don't really like that much. It's kind of ugly to me. You know what? I'm feeling D tier for you. And then this one I think is fine. I don't know, something about it just doesn't fully work for me. Maybe C tier. All right, we have Shellos and Gastrodon. Both have a male and a female form. I don't really have a favorite between Shellos variants. I think of the Gastrodon variants, I like the female one more just because I like the color scheme a little bit more. But these two I both really like, and they are both going to go in A tier. Gastrodon, I don't know, for some reason I don't love you as much, but I think you're both B tier. All right, Ambipom. Apom finally gets an evolution. I actually don't mind Ambipom. Again, usually I don't love monkey Pokemon that much, but Ambipom is pretty decent. I think you're good. I am probably going to say you are C tier though. All right, Drifloon and Drifblim. Oh, such good Pokemon. Drifloon's going to be my first S tier of the video. Congratulations, buddy. You are a little bit creepy because like something about the souls of children, right? That get lost in the mountain or something. You are cool and I really like your design. Drifblim I do not like as much. I think it's a good evolution. I just don't like the design as much. And so I think that you are going to stay in A tier. All right, Baneri and Lopunny. Baneri I think is cute. I think Baneri gets to be higher up in B tier. That feels right. B for Baneri. And then Lopunny is not S tier. What, did you think I was a pervert or something? No. I do think Lopunny is like a good design. I like the elegance that it evokes, but it's not my favorite. I don't know. I think you're probably A tier at least though. You're pretty good. All right, Mismagius. This is a Pokemon that is here now. We had Misdreavus before. Now we have Mismagius. I think Mismagius is a far better Pokemon than Misdreavus personally. And I think that you're pretty cool. I like the like witch hat thing you got going on, the long arms as you just kind of float around. I think you're a solid Pokemon. I think you are an A tier. All right, here we have Honchkrow, which I believe is an evolution to Murkrow. Yeah, you're kind of just like a C tier for me. You're actually going to go lower, a lot lower than I thought you would. All right, Glameow and Purugly. These are, well, at least the Purugly is a prominent Pokemon that is used by Team Galactic or whatever they're called in this game. I actually do like Glameow quite a bit. I think you're cool. I do not like Purugly. And I know the joke is that it gets ugly, but I don't know. I genuinely just I don't love this design very much. I think Purugly is going to be a C tier. And then Glameow, I like you enough. You're going to be a B tier. All right, Chingling. Chingling is here. I really like this little cutie. Is this considered a baby Pokemon? I think this is the generation that's kind of like babies. You know what I'm saying? Like babies. I think it's a little cutie. I like when it opens its mouth and you can see like the little tongue as like the bell thing inside of it. I'm gonna say you're A tier actually. I like you that much. All right, Stunky and Skuntank. These are hard names to say for me. I don't love them. Again, frequent used Pokemon of Team Galactic. Stunky, I like a little bit more. I like that you got the big cheeks. I think that that's pretty fun. I feel like you're probably a C tier for me. And then Skuntank is going to be bottom of C-ish. All right, Bronzor and Bronzong. One of them is like a big bell maybe, and then this one's like oh, it's a gong. Of course, I'm stupid. I think it's weird that the eyes change so much between them. I think they both get to be A tier. All right, first of the babies, we have Bonsly. This is the baby to Sudowoodo. I don't particularly care for you, to be honest. I think that you're probably a C tier for me. Mime Jr., the baby to Mr. Mime, basically. To be honest, I don't really care about most of the babies. I think you're also C tier. I'm sorry. And then we have Happiny. Again, another baby. Lots of babies in a row here. Ew, I think you're kind of ugly and I don't like you that much. Weirdly, I want to put you in D tier. You get to be at the top though because you're a baby and it's excusable. All right, here we have Chatot, which I believe is like a kind of a weird Pokemon to get. Either way, I do like it. I like that it has the music note head and that it's a parrot, but I think you're like a B tier design for me. All right, Spiritomb. I believe this is the Pokemon that Cynthia starts with. I've always really liked Spiritomb. I think it's cool that it's just like a rock and then like this whole spirit soul thing shows up. Spiritomb is going to be an A tier for me. We have Gible, Gabite, and then Garchomp. Now this is the line that everyone goes crazy for, particularly because Garchomp is a really good Pokemon. I'm not saying that I don't like these guys. I think they're all pretty cool. It's just they're not my favorite, and that's okay. I don't have to have the same opinion as everyone. I weirdly almost like Gible more than the entire line. Its whole body is just the mouth. I think that's really cute and fun. I'm going to say Gible is an A tier. Gabite, I don't particularly care for. You're gonna be a B tier. And then Garchomp is undeniably cool, and I think Garchomp deserves A tier, even if it's not like my favorite of all time. All right, now we have Munchlax, the baby of Snorlax, essentially. I like Munchlax a decent amount. I obviously think Snorlax is better, but Munchlax isn't very bad. Nothing about you calls to me in any special way. I think that you are probably just a B tier for me. All right, and now we have Riolu and Lucario, and both of them are S tier. This is my favorite Pokemon of all time, and by this I mean Lucario, which is a basic answer, I know, I'm sorry. And Riolu I love because it's just a cute little baby version of Lucario. So far, I'm pretty happy with my S tier though. If I could just have all of them, please. All right, Hippopotas and Hippowdon, they're cool in that it's fun that we have a hippo Pokemon, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't really like either of their designs. I think your C tier. Hippowdon is probably also C tier. All right, Skorupi and Drapion. These two I think are cool. I like scorpions. I think they're badass. I do like Skorupi more because it's cuter. I kind of like this weird off blueberry color. And Skorupi will get to be A tier for me. And then Drapion, I think for now, you're kind of just B tier. All right, Krogunk and Toxicroak, I believe are the names. I love this goofy looking frog. I'm a big fan of Krogunk. I think you're going to be an A tier. And then Toxicroak, I just think you got ugly. You just look worse. And I don't like you as much, and I honestly think you're dropping down to C tier. All right, Carnivine. This is a, like, piranha plant Pokemon, basically. I always forget that this guy exists, which is a shame, because, I don't know, I think it's fun, you know, having a piranha plant Pokemon, I think you're a C tier for me. All right, Finneon and Luminion, I believe, are your names. There's nothing really special about them to me. I think they're meant to look like butterflies, but it doesn't really work for me. I think maybe part of it is the color scheme. I think both of them are probably C tier. All right, now we have Mantike. Mantine has not been added yet. You're a manta ray. Your eyes are kind of fun. I don't know. I think you're decent. I kind of feel like you're just a B tier. All right, Snover and Abomasnow. I always like snow Pokemon, and Abomasnow reminds me of the Snow Beast from Scooby-Doo. Snover, I think, is meant to look like a tree, maybe covered in snow a little bit, but I don't particularly care for this design all that much. Abomasnow is definitely A tier. Snover, I think, is probably a C tier, unfortunately. All right, Weavile, this is the evolution to Sneasel, and I know that a lot of people will use you to like sweep the, are they called the Elite Four? And Cynthia in this game. I don't think you're A tier for me. I do think you are B tier, but you're still good. Magnezone, we get the final evolution to the Magnemite line, and I think that Magnezone is pretty decent evolution. You kind of look like a UFO, a flying saucer a little bit, which I think is fun, but ultimately I'm feeling B tier for you. All right, Licky, an evolution to Lickitung. I think I like Lickitung more. I don't hate you, but I think you are just kind of a C tier Pokemon for me. All right, this is Rhyperior. I don't know much about Rhyperior, but what I do know is that I think they're ugly as balls, if you think balls are ugly. So Rhyperior is going to be my first F tier of this list of this video. I don't think I particularly have a hatred in my heart for Rhyperior like I do some of my previous F tier picks, but someone has to be an F tier. You just kind of have to be there by default. Tangrowth! Tangela is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. Tangrowth, I do really like. I do not like them as much as Tangela because Tangela is just a little cutie, a little freak, a little cutie freak. Tangrowth evolves a little bit out of that cutie territory, but I still really like you, and you are going to be A tier. All right, this is Electivire. You know what? Let's just do it. Magmortar, both of which are not lines that I particularly enjoy. I think Magmortar is still in the territory of F tier for me. Electivire is fine. I do think you're really ugly, and I'm going to be putting you in D tier. It's weird. I have a history with these two, with their lines anyway, and these two have not escaped it. All right, here we have Togekiss. This is the final evolution to the Togetic line. You're pretty cool. I like that you look like a jetliner or an airplane or something, but I think you are my least favorite of the line. I just think Togekiss is like probably bottom of B tier. Yanmega, the big dragonfly. I do like Yanma, and I like Yanmega. I think that it's cool that you look like a helicopter airplane hybrid thing. I kind of think you get to be A tier. All right, it's the evolutions of the generation. We have Leafeon and Glaceon. Now, these two are not my favorite of the evolutions. I don't think they're bad by any means, but they're just not my favorite. Glaceon is my favorite of the two, and I think Glaceon will get to stay in A tier. Leafeon, I've weirdly never been a huge fan of. I think it's the coloring. Either way, Leafeon's going to be a B tier. All right, here we have Gliscor, or Gliscor, as I would always call it for some reason. This guy's interesting to me because you're like a scorpion bat, and I don't really understand that, but I think you're cool, and I think you're going to be A tier. All right, here we have Mamoswine. I mean, as much as you are a woolly mammoth, I don't actually love the design for you. I think for me, you are a C tier. All right, now we have Porygon Z. A new Porygon evolution has entered the chat. I think this one's really good. I just like the designs. I like the round shapes of it, and you are going to be an A tier. All right, now we have Gallade. The Ralts line finally gets the male evolution path. I've always liked Gallade, just like I liked all of the Ralts line, and Gallade is going to be an A tier. All right, and here we have Probopass, the evolution to Nosepass. Probopass, I think a lot of people think is ugly. Nosepass was one of my S tier Pokemon. Probopass is not one of my S tier Pokemon. I do think Probopass is a little bit ugly. This looks like what's his name's dad from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. So put that into consideration, I guess. Either way, I do like Probopass still, and you are going to be an A tier. All right, here we have Dusknoir. We get the final evolution in the Dusclops line, and Dusknoir I think is pretty good. I don't like it as much as the rest of the line. You have to be A tier just because I think you're cool and I like you. All right, and here we have Frostlass. I believe this is this a split evolution for Glalie? But I really like Frostlass. I love the design so much. You are going to be an A tier. I have a lot of A tiers this generation, apparently. All right, and now we have Rotom. I don't think all of the Rotom forms are in this generation, but I'm gonna do them now anyway. I don't know, I think as a whole, I think it's really cool that Rotom turns into different appliances for different typings. It's weird, I'm actually thinking A tier. You know what? I gotta do it. I think Rotom is up there in A tier. Let's fucking figure out all the forms. Of all of these Rotoms, which ones do I like the most? I weirdly think I really like Rotom's original design. I think Lawnmower is probably my favorite. It has a scary face, and I think it looks pretty good. Then I think I'm gonna stick with normal Rotom. And then I think weirdly I'm gonna go Fan, and then I think it's Oven Washer, whatever this thing is. All right, we finally made it to the legendaries or mythical Pokemon. I forget what they're called really, but here we have Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf. I don't know if that's the correct one for which one. I just know that those are them names. I don't really care about them individually. It's not like one's going to be in A tier, one's going to be in B tier. They're all basically the same thing to me. They're the spirits of the lakes in the game. I don't know. I think they're all B tier. I do think they're cool though. I think I like the pink one most, and then maybe blue and then yellow. Sure. All right, Dialga and Palkia, the box legendaries of the game. I love these two. I especially like Dialga. I think Dialga is definitely A tier. I don't like Palkia as much, and I think they're probably both A tier for me. All right, here we have Heatran. I don't actually know if this is a legendary or not. I also don't really like Heatran. I think you're kind of ugly. If you are a legendary, wow, it's pretty rough to have a legendary in C tier. All right, Regigigas. I really like Regigigas. I think that this might be my favorite Reggie, and Regigigas is going to be an A tier. I have so many A tiers right now. All right, here we have Giratina. There are two different forms of Giratina. I think Giratina is like the devil of Pokemon, right? I think Giratina is like a B tier for me. I think I don't even like you as much as the lake spirits. All right, Cresselia. This is a Pokemon that I don't really know anything about, but Cresselia I think has a really cool design. Cresselia is an A tier also. Oh my god, I have too many A tiers. All right, these two I always get mixed up. There's Phione and Manaphy, I think are their names. The reason I don't like these two is because they look exactly the same, but I think this one's an evolution of this one? Why? It's not that I hate them. I think they're C tier. They're very mid to me. All right, here we have Darkrai. Again, another Pokemon that I don't actually really know much about, but it's Darkrai. I think Darkrai gets to be an A tier also. All right, we have Shaman and Shaman. One is like land form. This one is sky form, I think. I like the sky form of Shaman more. I think that these two are probably going to be B tier for me. And finally, we have God. Well, Arceus, which is the god of Pokemon. Also, there's like 20 forms of Arceus. I'm not going to rank them all because it's all just different colors of the fucking yellow thing on him or whatever. So I'm not going to be ranking those. I don't care. Arceus, I mean, I think it's cool, I guess. But ultimately, I'm going to be honest, I don't think you're my favorite design. I think you're probably a B tier for me. But I have to do a final revision where I look through all these, make some final swaps, and I'll see you right now. Because it jump cuts to... Yeah. All right, this is my final ranking of Generation 4 for the Pokemon on my quest to rank all of the Pokemon ever made. I am curious though, what are your opinions on this ranking? What are your favorite Pokemon from Generation 4? Who are your S tiers? Who are your F tiers? Who are your C tiers? Just the the most mid Pokemon from Generation 4. If we have differing opinions, that is perfectly fine and okay. This is my opinion. This is my personal taste in Pokemon. Just wanted to make that clear, because sometimes people are just rude for no reason. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day. If you liked, please like and subscribe. It means a lot to me. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!